There are some ways that we're born that it's just who we are, but the environment that we get put in distorts that. Hey y'all, my name is Gabby. Welcome back to my channel. If you would have asked me what it was to discover yourself a few months ago or anytime prior to that, I think I would have had an answer for you, but it probably wouldn't have been the most articulate answer or a very good answer. I really don't think I would have been able to very best explain how to do that. But things have since changed and I've been on that journey, which is why I'm making this video today. I just want to give my input on what it really is and what it really means to find yourself. A few months ago, I started to question myself and I asked myself, who am I? When I asked myself that, I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't even know how to answer that question because what does that even mean, you know? So I went scouring the internet, trying to do some research, trying to figure out what it really meant to know who you are. And the gist of what I got is that you're just sure of yourself. You know what you like and you don't like, what you do and what you want to do, how you feel, you're confident in yourself and your answers and the things you do. So I'm like, okay. And that was a good start because it got me to a point where I had to start thinking about what I like and what I don't like. For example, when I was home recently, we went to Myrtle Beach, my uncle and his kids. It was my mama and her kids. And some of my little cousins wanted to go downtown to the strip. I didn't really want to go. They wanted to go out. But I told myself, you know what, Gabby, we here to make memories, so let's go. So we went, and it ended up being really dead. Like, it wasn't hitting on nothing. And the only club that looked like it could have been something, you could see through the windows, and everybody was standing around the perimeter. It almost was like people were just paying to go in there to get seen. It was only an hour left. They were charging $20 and $30 if you were younger than 21, which my little sister and my little cousin were not 21 yet. So we just didn't go in. We was walking up and down the strip. And later that night, I really had to reevaluate myself because I went for the right reason, which ultimately was to spend time with my family and create memories. But the initial reason I was about to go was I figured I should just go, even though I'm not the going out type. I didn't know until I saw them dressed that they meant out, like to the club. I never was the club person. I had that era through college and a little bit after I graduated college, and now if I go out somewhere like that, I'm like more of a bar type of person. It gotta be somewhere I can sit down because I'm not into the whole brushing up against me, touching on my arm, grabbing my booty, people's sweaty arms rubbing up against me, walking around for hours in heels. I'm done with that part of my life. But that night when I almost went, even though I knew I didn't like to go to the club, it really sat me down and made me think about it. So that night when I got back, we got back around like 2:30 or something like that. And I don't think I went to bed until 6 a.m. I really had to just ask myself, what do you like and not like? Because whatever it is, you got to start standing firm on that. If you know what you like and what you don't like, and you still yield to other things that end up making you do things outside of your parameters, you're not being true to yourself. And if you do things that shine light on you not being true to yourself, then you got to start digging deeper. I had thought about doing therapy. In the Black community, you don't need therapy when you can go to God. That has since been stripped apart, and there are many people, not only in my culture but worldwide, who are starting to truly see the benefits of therapy and are going. It's normal now, which I think is really dope. But even since then, I felt like therapy wasn't for me because I am so self-aware that I felt like I didn't need to go. But I'm at this point now that I'm like, well, even though I am self-aware and I do eventually figure these things out, a therapist might actually help me figure them out faster. So tying into what I was saying about if you go outside of yourself, for me, as I mentioned previously on my channel, I have had this thing where I just wanted people to like me. I just wanted to fit in. And I never really thought about why I was like that until today. because I thought maybe that's just how I was. But I was kind of thinking my mom was going, and what I thought about was like, well, that's because I just wanted people to like me. So for the first time I asked myself, well, Gabby, why do you think that is?
What do you think led you to wanting people to like you? It had to be something that happened in your childhood.
So I really had to take myself all the way back. And when I was thinking about it, my mama had 4 kids. I was the second one. She had boy, girl, boy, girl. We were all pretty much 3 years apart until my little sister came. She was a little further back. We had bondings between our siblings, but not like that best friend type thing. We had different fathers. We were all, split off and just go do separate things with other parts of our family, And what I realized is that the only time I got validated, the only time I got attention was when I did something good. When I learned how to say the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish, when I got straight A's, when I played a sport, when I got an achievement or an award at school. And these things happen all the time. Like, I was constantly making achievements throughout my childhood, through high school. But when I did bad though, like just because I made A's and B's, it did not mean that that's how the whole semester was. Sometimes things would start off rocky, and by the time the progress report came, like when I was taking AP statistics, I had a D, and my mama would like be so mad, and she would never ask me what's going on. You would think if you're used to your child making an honor roll and then your child come home with a D or a C, you're gonna ask them, are they okay? What's going on? I never got that. It was straight scolding. You need to get this grade up. You need to get your head right. You need to stay focused, blah, blah, blah. I got in trouble as a kid. We all did. But of all of us, I got in the least trouble. I wasn't troublesome. I was just a good kid. But when I did get in trouble, I got in trouble to the same level of what my siblings would have got in trouble. I got yelled at a lot for whining. I used to talk in a whining voice. Like when my little brother used to mess with me, Mom, Ray won't leave me alone. That was me. That was me. My mom would tell her, leave your sister alone, blah, blah. But I would also get yelled at too. Stop telling it all the time. So it was just a very mismatch of energy. When I did something bad, I got scolded. But when I did something good, it was so normal that it either wasn't recognized or it was overly recognized. There was no balance. So because I was a quiet kid and I was a shy kid, the only thing that brought me attention was when I did something good. And when I came across this revelation today, it just blew my mind, because I'm like, wow, that really is it. I was one of those people who struggled with likes and stuff on social media. And it's funny because when you were young, that's what we heard, at least all the time, from the parents.
When you get older, none of this stuff gonna matter. It's not gonna matter what you wore. It's not gonna matter. You really gonna see who is successful when you get older.
I feel like because our times changed, that didn't apply to our generation, because social media almost made high school and college keep running. It never ended because everybody just kept keeping up with each other's lives. So I put this pressure on myself to keep achieving. Most of my posts over the years have been something I achieved. And if I did post a picture of myself, it was every blue moon. I already wasn't a social media type. To put a pretty picture every now and again, your likes are going to be booming. And for that to happen just did something to me. Like, it just gave me a boost, like, yeah. And it all stems from not getting any attention unless I did something good. And I don't want to go on about this too long, but what I'm really trying to say is any and everybody should go to therapy, especially if you're not that good at being self-aware. But anybody can really dig down into their childhood to try to figure out what's going on. You just have to ask yourself the right questions. You got to learn yourself. Where did this behavior come from? How did it cultivate? It usually starts from when we're children. And if it doesn't start when we're children, it starts from some sort of traumatic event in our life. And that's another thing too that I kind of wanted to get into, and like on a different topic. But things that happen when we were children, they don't seem traumatic because children are so resilient. So when you go through something at a time, it feels normal. But if it's something that's just followed you all your life, it is trauma when you look back on it. But when it happened to you, it didn't feel like trauma. Kids getting bullied, it's hard at the time. Kids that get beatings, it's hard at the time, but they get through it and they just keep moving on with life. But when you get older, that stuff starts to manifest itself. You being an only child, your mom not showing you attention, your dad not being present. When you're in that situation, it's just your life. But how it affects you really starts coming back. I'm seeing that now in myself, and even how I'm raising my own, and it's really helping me to be a softer, more gentle mother. Growing up, I never had the space to feel my feelings. Every time I cried, I was told to hush, that I was being dramatic, to go to my room. And then when I got older, when I got to like middle school, high school, my mom used to call me antisocial all the time. And you know, going through puberty and all that, I was pretty moody. I was most in a good mood when I was with my friends and with my cousins. And then I would get reprimanded for that, because then it was, Gabby, you're being fake, because you're not always happy like this. So I didn't have an environment to be in to be sad or mad, because if I was mad, it was, hey, lose that attitude. But I also didn't even have an environment to be in to be blah. Like I couldn't feel anything, you know, like, and when I was going through that stuff, it was just life. But as I got older, I got to a point where I didn't like people to see my emotions. That's still how I am now. That video I did about my brother when I was crying, that was really deep for me to do. I don't like for people to see me cry. It makes me feel weak, like I can't control myself or handle my emotions. I also don't like for people to see me get overly excited, because then I feel like, oh, people might think I'm being extra. And you see how this is deep rooted, but this is something that I didn't realize was because of my past. These are just ways that I thought I was. You know, that's why when people say, oh, this is just how I am, this is my personality, that kills me when people say that. It always annoyed me, because I'm a firm believer in that you can change no matter how hard it is. And now where I stand today, I know for a fact what I was hitting on was true. I do believe there are some ways that we're born that it's just who we are, but the environment that we get put in distorts that. So when we get older, we end up fighting with ourselves because we want to do one thing, but we were brought up one way. Certain things were planted and sold in us even when we don't remember that time, and then we get older and we're just like, oh, this is just how I am. But it's not really. There's a nature and nurture balance, but a lot of the negative behaviors and ways that we are, it came from somewhere. We just don't remember, or we haven't thought about it deep enough to connect the dots. So discovering yourself and really finding yourself, it really is a journey. When they say you really have to dig deep in your life, you have to. I just been praying and asking God to give me wisdom, and then I think of something that just leads me down that trail. And when I went home for a month, that was my first time going home in 2 years, in August, which is the longest I've been home since I left in 2018. Then I was in my mom's house. I haven't been in my mom's house like that, under her roof, since I graduated from college. And just seeing how my family was moving, how they were functioning, things that were being said, things that were being done, it really just brought me back into what it was like growing up. I just learned so much, and I say things about my upbringing, but I want to make it clear that I wouldn't have had my childhood any other way. I love my mama dearly. Like, one day I really want to be able to give her the world, and I don't fault my mama or anybody for anything. You know, my mama did the best she could, and a lot of stuff that she was doing, she was just raising us the way she knew, just like most parents do. You just go by what you know and you learn along the way. So I don't have any resentment towards my mama or, you know, anything like that for how we were raised. But I've just seen myself doing some of the same things to my child that were done to me. And I think that's what has been making me dig so deeply into my life, because I'm just so unsettled with how I've been raising my own child that I'm really having to figure out, why am I like this and how to not be like this anymore, to raise her like I really want to in my heart. And it all boils down to, it's just how I was raised. I do things differently, but there are some things that are the same.
Girl, what you crying about? It's not that serious. Hush, you'll be okay.
That's not okay to do to a kid. It's those little things that just impact them over and over and over, that just come back when we're adults. I think another key step in discovering yourself is forgiveness. Even if you feel like you're not dealing with unforgiveness, just think about a time somebody said something that made you mad, a harsh comment, an uncomfortable, unsettling conversation. It's small things. Sometimes it's not a huge event. It's small things that build over time. When you think about it, if it makes you angry, sad, or anything that is not a feeling that you naturally would want to feel, that involves peace and happiness, there's some unforgiveness tied to that. Identify who you have something in your heart against, and then work on forgiving them and letting it go. Once you've done these things, the next best thing for you to do is to figure out where do you go from there and how to start implementing this new information in your life. They say healing is not linear. So to me, that meant healing is not linear, like going this way. And instead, healing is like this. But no, it's not even that. Healing is like like you go forward and back and up and down and around, but you know, as you do all that, you're going up. You know, it's just crazy. So I think discovering yourself is, I don't even know, it's like more than just a journey, because it's everywhere. It's all over the place. It's really a lot to be put into it, and it's a lot to be done. And even if you feel like you know yourself, it would still be good to go over these things, to give yourself a refresher, because we change over time. We build casts and we break them down. So it never hurts to just start fresh or renew, especially with the new year coming. So if there's anything that you think I missed, leave it in the comments. This is something that I was wanting to talk about, but it was just really on me today, and I really wanted to speak on it, and I just want to know what y'all think too. I don't really want to talk too much about myself all the time. I want to give value, but I want to know what y'all think too, because I'm not always right. And I just like to know what other people think. You can learn something from anybody at any age. So I just want to know, if I left something out, there was something else that was critical, let me know in the comments. Like, y'all, talk to me. Walk with me, talk with me, okay? I'm sure that I'll revisit this topic again in the future, but that's it for now, y'all. And until next time, and peace and love, I'm out.